so this is our first part of the February wrap-up. And yeah, so this February I mainly read Black authors. Some new ones, some rereads. Most of them new ones, but yeah. So these two are actually sadly two DNFs. Partly why I'm doing it now, because I'm giving them to charity, so I'm just gonna film them now and then add it to the rest of the wrap-up. So yeah, the first one is Unwielding Love by Vanessa Riley. So Vanessa Riley was on Stay. I completely forgot it all the time. She was on this booktube literary festival last year on this historical romance section. She had some great comments, and I just loved her. So I kind of thought, okay, I'm gonna read Vanessa Riley book. I looked her up, and the only one at the time that was available was this one. Bought it. I got it like last May. I tried to read it last autumn, but I wasn't really in the mood for it. I decided like I'm gonna do it now. So I started to read it for real this month. Like before, I just read a few pages. Now I give like 2 or 3 chapters. Sadly, yeah, I should probably have paid more attention before I bought it, because I mean, in the beginning of the book, the author gives a note and saying like, this is a soap opera. It's a soap opera in book form. And for me, soap opera, I think that's kind of much better really in TV form. But a soap opera in book form, I don't know. This one just kind of felt too much for me. Really, it was just too dramatic and too much for me. And yeah, I couldn't keep reading it. It was just not my cup of tea at all. This is not me saying that I'll never read another Vanessa Riley book. The one that she came up with last year, The Duke, Me and a Baby, or something like that, sounds very good. I want to try that one. This one, sadly, not for me. Sometimes you can't love all the books by author, but yeah. Then, so this book, it's it's not historical. It's not a romance. I was in the very romance mood this month. This was Valentine's, so kind of fits. It is the stars and the blackness between them. So yeah, I already knew going into it that one of the characters had been thrown out of her house because he was gay. But still, I kind of thought like still be a good read. Interesting read for me. Like I would still enjoy it. Sadly, like okay, so it's told from two point of views, and one of the point of views has kind of like this colloquial or like kind of this dialect use, like it's from Trinidad, part of Spain in Trinidad, and so it's kind of written like how she talks, and so that kind of bothered me. I suppose it shouldn't, because it kind of comes off true and generally like it kind of it's probably meant to like to feel real and feel more relevant to those people from Trinidad who's reading it and stuff. For me, I suppose maybe if I listened to an audiobook, it would be better in that way. Because like if there's colloquialism or like dialect in English books, I often find it's better to listen to an audio than read it like written. But then, so I suppose I could have switched audio and then I wouldn't DNF it if it hadn't been only that. But I also I also didn't really, honestly, I didn't really feel connected to any of the characters. I kind of felt like it just started too quick, and I felt like, I don't know, I just didn't connect to any of them at all. If this is because I'm white or straight or not American or Trinidadian, could be that. It could be something else as well. I mean, of course, I'm not saying that this book is bad by any means. I'm just saying it didn't hit me really in the feels, or yeah. And sometimes some books won't be for everyone. Sadly, this was not for me. I'm not saying that that white people should not read diverse. Like, I read diverse books all the time because I like reading from different point of views, and often, even though I don't understand all the stuff, I still enjoy it. This one I simply didn't enjoy that much. And yeah, again, it wasn't bad. It was just simply not for me. So yeah, so that's those two. This is another edition, another part of my February wrap up. So yeah, I'm filming this on the 28th of February, and I suppose I might finish another book by the time like this day ends. If that happens, well, it will happen. But I still kind of want to film this now, so yeah. And also, I see sometimes people who post stuff like wrap ups a few days before the month is over. So I'm not sure if they count what you'll read the last day as for next month, or if maybe they don't think they'll read that much in the end of the month. I'm not sure, but yeah, I kind of want to film this. And anyway, like these books I want to talk about, I have finished anyway. So it's just one book that would eventually not be part of this. So one book. And yeah, let's start. First, we have Truly Madly Royally, which you see it as a paperback. I actually listen to it on audiobook, but still I read it, listened to it, so I'm counting it, and I'm using this one as a visual. And yeah, I read this one, I think, pretty sure it was 2 years ago when it came out. I'm not an idiot, I think it came out in 2019. Yeah, it came out in 2019, and I'm pretty sure I bought it in 2019, read it, loved it, and I kind of wanted to reread it. So yeah, February is Black History Month in the US. You have Black authors, and where main focus is reading Black romance, and also blackathon, where the point is to read Black authors by different genres. Uh, so yeah, again, I did read this in February. It was a reread. I feel like very often readathons are supposed to like to get you to try new authors, at least like new books. This being a reread, still, it was, I think, pretty sure it was the only reread of this month, so yeah. And there's no booktube police. And yeah, it wasn't like any of the prompts said, do a reread, because sometimes in readathons it says, like, do a reread. This time it didn't, but I was in the mood for it. And I listened to it in an audiobook, which I hadn't before, so maybe it's the first time reading, if you count it like that. Yeah. Anyway, so this is, I don't really think I talked about it that much before. Well, at least not in a while, really. But yeah, this is summer romance taking place, during one summer. Sounds a bit weird, sorry. So that's Sora, and that is, blah, 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 blah. His name is Owen, which I find kind of a bit weird because he is a prince, and a prince named Owen, I don't know. For me, Owen just sounds so American and not princely. I feel like princes should be called Harry or Philip or uh, Henry or Richard. Prince Owen feels a bit weird, but okay. And yeah, he's a prince from a made-up country called Lauderdale, which is supposed to be in a neighboring to England. So I think it's supposed to be close to Great Britain. So around there, like supposed to be like the same era. But yeah, it doesn't really go into the country that much. I mean, the book it's set in New Jersey, so it's mostly like based around that. And Sora, she's very much into volunteering and helping the community, and that's a big aspect of the book. And yeah, also it's one of those romances where it's not just like love, 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 but it's like you have two characters who have fleshed out backgrounds who happen to work out together. And yeah, first, and it's actually quite a slow romance, I would say. Like the third kiss goes about like halfway through. Spoiler, sorry, but it goes about halfway through, which is not that common really. But yeah, I very much enjoyed. Well, why else will I reread it? But yeah, definitely a book worth checking out. And then we have a book I have talked about before quite a lot this month, but I did read it, so I'm including it again. It is The Boyfriend Project by Farah Watron. I have a book review of this, so I'll just link that down below, because talking much about it now when I already have an in-depth review, I'll just move on. But to put it in keywords, amazing adult romance, highly recommend. First in a companion series. Also, becoming a movie. And then we have actually the one I finished lastly. Was it lately? Well, lately, lastly. It's kind of synonyms, really. But yeah, so I finished this one on Friday, Royal Holiday by Jasmine Guillory. So protagonist in this one is Vivian Forrest, which is the mom of Maddie from one of the earlier books in this companion series. She goes with Vivian goes with Maddie to the UK because Maddie gets a job working for the Duchess. So that's quite fun, really. Well, that little tidbit in there, really. And then Vivian finds love with Malcolm Hudson. So you see Malcolm there. I think in a way it's kind of misleading because it says Royal Holiday, and then you kind of expect that she falls in love with a prince or a duke or someone from royalty. Malcolm works for royalty. He's not royalty himself, but still, it's a very delightful read. I would say it's very, very easily nice, fun read. Really, it's not. It doesn't really have that much depth to it, which I suppose not a lot of Jasmine Guillory's books have. But yeah, it is delightful if you need something fun and light and cheerful. And I was about to say something else. Blah, de, blah, de, blah, de, blah. The sex scenes are more or less always cut to black. So if if you're more interested to romance than the sex scenes, Jasmine Guillory, it's definitely one to check out. I don't believe all of those sex scenes are that graphic. Maybe it's just this book that isn't. Sorry. But yeah, anyway, great fun read. Although, I mean, I'm not British myself, but I kind of felt like maybe Jasmine Guillory simply Googled stuff, because the British points in the book seemed a little bit on the surface. I don't know. I mean, I do know Jasmine Guillory is not British herself. So even though if you do a lot of research, you kind of have to do a lot to make another country realistic and stuff. I don't know. Yeah. And then we have a few non-fiction ones. So first we have As Good as It Gets by Ramesh Raghunathan. He's a British comedian slash TV personality. So he's on this TV thing called blah 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 blah, A League of Their Own, which I haven't really seen, but I have seen his stand-up, and I think his stand-up is fun. Well, seeing his stand-up sounds weird. I've seen him do stand-up on Live the Apollo, so yeah, I've seen him stand-up comedy. I haven't seen him live myself, but yeah, he's a funny guy, and I kind of thought okay, here's a book. I want to read it. So this is a book of essays about his life and all kind of more like general stuff about how it is to be an adult. So it's both about his life, but it's about his life, but also him talking about his life and then talking about how it can be talked about, like how his life can be a metaphor, or how his life is not that different from everyone else's life, and yeah, so I would say it's personal, but it's not very personal. And yeah, it's very interesting tidbits, and every chapter is more or less 2 or 3 pages, so it's very quickly read. And yeah, I read this over a weekend. Very good book, as I said. And yeah, then we have AOC, The Fearless Rise and Powerful Resonance of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So, also, first a little bit of a tidbit. For some reason, I had this huge idea that AOC was Cuban American. Turns out from reading this book, she's Puerto Rican American. Yeah, that was me being silly and stupid. I don't know. That was, yeah. That was not. But as was, you live and you learn. But yeah, first I bought this because I kind of want to learn more about her. And it's a memoir, as you kind of would think. Though when I bought it, I didn't really realize that I didn't know it says like as it says on top here. Edited by Unwielding Love. So the thing is, this it's about AOC, but it's not her own writing. It's other people writing about her. So you get to learn about her, but it's not her own writing. But it's still kind of interesting because you have all the different aspects of people who are around her. Some people who are friends with her. Some people who worked with her. People who interviewed her. All the different aspects of her life in a way. Though you don't really get one from her family or something like that, but still. And yeah, I learned a lot about AOC, so that was quite interesting. And I also learned about Puerto Ricans in America and New York people and politicians and stuff like that. At least for me, I learned a lot. Me not being American, I suppose. Yeah, I mean you can know a lot about American politics, but I felt like I learned more by reading this book. And yeah, also it's another one, not that long book. It's give me a moment, let's check it out. It is under 200 pages. So yeah, if you want non-fiction that's informative and good, check this one out. And then the last we have another a Norwegian one. So yeah, let's say last week, as last month in January, I also read a non-fiction Norwegian one. For once, it is Ikke vær redd sånne som meg by Sumaya Ali. So this is written by sorry, I'm blanking out, Somali Norwegian female. I was about to say person, but also could say person, by Somali Norwegian woman. She came to Norway when she was 6. Yeah, 6, so pretty young. She had to learn Norwegian and all that stuff. But now she's like 22, so she's lived most of her life in Norway at this point. And it's about her, yeah, coming to terms with her role as, is she Somali, is she Norwegian, is she both, and how those different cultures clash and not, and stuff like that. And I was kind of going into it thinking it was going to be more about like her meeting racism, and it is a bit of that, but it's not like, it feels in a way kind of more about like her being a person and just kind of, yeah, being a person that's accidentally Somalian. I mean, it's not, well, I suppose it is about like her being Somali and stuff like that, but it's not like a book full of sad racism stories. It's a lot of her, like, yeah, her life really. And yeah, it's this one she's written herself, and it's also a short one. It's 90 pages. But yeah, as you can see, it's a Norwegian book. I'm thinking it's probably not out in English. I suppose you can't translate all the books. But yeah, if you're watching me and you're Norwegian or you're trying to learn Norwegian, you can read this book. Yeah, it's a very good book. Also, quite fun little tidbit. Sumaya Jirdali, the author, she lives in the town where I'm from, my hometown. So it's quite fun. And I was like always checking like if she was gonna name drop places and stuff. She didn't. But still, a delightful, nice read. It's kind of, I feel like it was kind of nice, like after last year, everyone and the mom got very much more aware of the Black Lives Matter movement and the awareness around that. And yeah, I did really love I did like pay attention to a lot of that stuff. I read some books on it, some books on it. But I also felt like, well, aren't there some books about Norwegian Black people? And then I found to go this book. So it's the one I read last month. Though sadly, I don't really think there are that many. Like I don't really think there are that many really of them. So that's quite sad in a way. probably will be more coming out. I do also know about one more that's sorry, let's say coming out. One more that is out. I haven't read it yet. That also seems to be very good. So I'm gonna check that one out as well. And yeah, and that has been. Oh, I was about to say that has been my wrap up. It actually hasn't. I have one more, at least one more. I have to double check afterwards. But yeah, at least one more. Sorry, a little burp there. Sorry. So I also listened to Rafe audiobook on audiobook. It's not simply audiobook. I don't think it's only audiobook anyway. But yeah, Rafe, a male buff nanny by Rebecca Weatherspoon. Actually, my first Rebecca Weatherspoon novel. I very much enjoyed it. I had started this. I had started this audiobook, I think maybe back in December, and then kind of put it on hold because I wasn't in the mood. But I had started like 2 minutes of it, so hadn't really listened to that much of it. But yeah, so this month I listened to the rest of it, and I loved it so much. Though it is adult romance with the steamy sex on audio. So like it was kind of awkward. I was like sitting on a train and like listening to like all these sex scenes. Like I was like, la 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 la. I hope no one sees me because I don't know. I felt a bit awkward. But yeah, still very nice. Yeah, definitely. Rebecca Weatherspoon is definitely an author I want to read more of. And there's also actually a spin-off from this book called Sunny, which is one of the authors, one of the persons in this book. So that's quite fun. There was also like Rafe came out in 2019. Sunny came out last year. And there's a lot of characters in Rafe, so I'm kind of hoping that you'll get more spin-offs because I feel like you could have more spin-offs from the persons in that world. I think that'd be cool. But also, like, I've just read Rafe so at the moment, so I mean, what am I to say? Like, probably all Rebecca Weatherspoon's books are great, so I have a lot of a backstory, back catalog to get to. So yeah, and yeah, I think that's it. But if not, I'll insert the last clip of what I'm forgetting off of this. Hey, promise this is the last bit, but yeah, as I thought, I had forgotten one book. Yeah, it was simply one book that I've forgotten, not more than one. But still, it's a book I kind of want to talk about in this wrap up. So here it is. It is A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. So Talia Hibbert is probably a name that everyone or a lot of people have heard about now. She's very famous for, or mostly famous for writing the Brown Girl, Brown Sisters trilogy. Well, first two, and the third one is coming out. So the first one is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. Second one is Take a Hint, Evie Brown. No, Take a Hint, Danny Brown. And the last one is Evie Brown. I'm not sure what the first part of the title is, but yeah. So it's the Evie, Danny, and Chloe sisters. Yeah, you probably heard of it. But yeah, so that was kind of her first, if I'm not completely mistaken, her first traditionally published series. This is her series before. It's indie published, and it's the first in another trilogy. But it's kind of one of those where the normal shebang with adult romances, where it's companion books set in the same series, so you don't have to read them all. But if you want to, you can. So yeah, I very much enjoyed this. You see, as well, I suppose you might think it's wrong, but it is an interracial romance. So Ruth Kaba, her mom is from the Caribbean. Pretty sure it says somewhere. I'm just for life me forgetting it. Yeah. Anyway, I can link it down below and just say what it is because I want to have it right. But yeah, at the moment, yeah. So yeah, but Ruth herself is born and raised in so that's the US, UK, and then her love interest Evan, that guy, he's her neighbor, and So they meet by chance, and he ends up making dinner for her, and making dinner for her like more or less every day, because Ruth is awful in the kitchen, and that's kind of how it evolves. And then slowly it evolves to a romance, and yeah, they both have backstories that are kind of complicated, dark. Yeah, I suppose not complicated, more like dark. Well, her is a bit complicated, but yeah. And they're both, none of them, like, okay, so it's multiple point of views, so you have switch point of views between Evan and Ruth, but neither of them like give you what the deal is from the get-go. You couldn't guess from quickly, but at least I didn't really guess what happened to Ruth very quick. And Evan, I suppose Evan isn't a huge dealio, but it's a thing. And I didn't really guess his backstory either. But yeah, when it was revealed, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Also, Ruth is a person with autism. So this is autism representation in this book. Now, I'm not quite sure if Talia Hibbert has autism or not. So if this is own voice or not, I'm not quite sure. I'll also figure that out. But yeah, very good book. I'll be definitely reading more from Ravenwood. Yeah, so I didn't say. So Ravenswood is the name of this trilogy. So it all takes place in this city in the UK called Ravenswood. Small town, well, city, more like a village. But yeah, and yeah, I highly recommend it. I would say though that I was kind of confused. I felt like the love story was very well done, but then so other things happened that's like the climax kind of felt like fast in a way for me. Like for a long time, Ruth was like this, and then he decides to do something else, and so like the character development kind of felt in a way like someone pulled a switch. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, it's not a long book, so I'm pretty sure I don't think I missed a sentence or a page. I suppose maybe I did, and that's why it felt weird. But still, yeah, it felt a bit weird to me in my eyes. But still, I enjoyed the book very much. Why else would I say? I enjoyed it. I wouldn't. And yeah, definitely check it out. Great book. Great read. And yeah, that's the end of my wrap up. I'll mention all the books that I've written different prompts for blackathon and black authors, as well as the Valittines. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.